In a world where unskilled laborers are being replaced with robots, it's great to know that you have the safety of never being replaced. And this video will teach you how to be a linchpin. Basically, throughout this video, I'm going to be giving you some social manipulation tips that will make sure you're indispensable and won't ever get fired. At the end, I'll give you 5 traits psychologists say make someone super likable and will make sure that you don't get replaced. So a linchpin is somebody in the workplace who essentially is crucial to achieving the organization's goals. Now, if you saw my video on the 4-hour workweek, you learned how to completely remove yourself from the process and still get paid. But a linchpin is the opposite. They completely immerse themselves into the workplace to make sure they never get replaced. So first, linchpin are artists. Not the painting, drawing, or sculpting artists that you think of, but they are artists at what they do. One thing they are really good at is turning their craft into an art and making it look easy. This means when you take a look at the finished product like a movie or a book, you don't really get an idea of how much work went into it. Take Richard Branson for an example. The author says that he creates billions of dollars of value in under 5 minutes, and for the rest of an hour he spends traveling, eating, and doing other things that aren't necessarily adding extreme value, but he makes it look like it is. The idea here is that school teaches us to do things like sharpen your pencil, have correct grammar, how to get into college, not to question authority, to fit in, and to do the minimum amount of work required to pass a class. But this isn't building linchpins. Instead, this is building a world of factory line workers, which is what Godin thinks schools were established for. He explains that fear is a great motivator, and often leads to remembering things better. See, we learn best when successful actions avoid a threat, like a defensive operation on the battlefield, or when you quickly remove your hand from something that is hot. Fear is used to motivate students. What if I don't pass this class? What if other students don't like me? What if I don't get into college? What if I can't even get a job? Godin also says that schools are created to teach people obedience, which is key to factory line workers, but it's poison to linchpins. 2 things you should be learning in school are how to solve interesting problems and how to lead. Focus on the interesting part of the problem too. Most problems can be solved in a matter of minutes in a world of smartphones and Wikipedia. Who was the president in 1950 is not an interesting problem. However, how do we employ 3 million people is. The second thing you should be learning is how to lead. I think Godin really likes leadership, as I've discussed in his Tribes book review, and it is important. Schools don't teach us how to be a leader, but they do give us opportunities and an out to express those abilities, such as positions in extracurricular activities. Leadership isn't an inborn talent like most people think it is. Just like any other skill, it must be practiced and cultivated. The second tip I'm going to be giving you is to make sure that you are irreplaceable by asking yourself, could someone else do my job better? Have you ever been to a fast food restaurant or a grocery store that is close enough to your home that you start to develop an actual personal relationship with the cashier? Godin says that people like this, people who actually make a connection from the customer to the brand, are extremely important and are specifically irreplaceable. There's actually a local business that sells food and candy that I drop by at least once a week just to have a nice conversation with the cashier, because their smile always brightens my day and their polite, enthusiastic attitude is super contagious. They are definitely a linchpin and adding extreme value to the business, which is also fueling my lemon drop cravings. Of course, deep domain knowledge will help you be a linchpin, but only on a tight pinch when knowledge is needed right now. One of the main characteristics of a great linchpin is the combination of charm, talent, and perseverance. Having that open social bond with those you interact with on a daily basis will prop up your value as a worker. Keeping your spot at a job is 80% attitude and 20% effort, so make sure to stay enthusiastic and positive throughout the day. A social manipulation and psychological tip is to train yourself to smile whenever you walk through a door. First off, this will give the impression that you are happy and also influence those around you to be happy as well. People are attracted to those who smile often. Secondly, it will physiologically make you happier throughout the trigger of hormones released. If possible, make the smile genuine by remembering something that is dear to you or something that you really enjoy, but make sure not to make the smile creepy. The third tip is to make sure that you're giving more than anyone else in your workplace. Now, giving can literally be anything. You can give more work time, you can give more compliments, you can give more thanks, you can give more personalized gifts. The culture of gifts is extremely important to a linchpin because it makes other workers feel appreciated. Now, this is very important. When you give gifts, do not expect anything in return. You will be bitterly disappointed in the long run. Giving, of course, creates psychological hierarchies in the minds of others that places them forever in debt to you, but you should never expect something in return. Doing so changes the gift into a business transaction, which is not what we're going for. Even a Christmas or a birthday card can have deep psychological value. Now, gifts should be an art, and something that implements a skill that you have, but they should also complement the giver in some way. If you can find out 2 things that a coworker likes, try to mix them. For example, I have a coworker who enjoys fishing, but is also a huge fan of Nike. I could very easily combine both of these into a tackle box with a couple of Nike logos glued to them and give it to him. The gift would definitely make him smile and he would never forget it. Of course, this gift could be created and given for under $30 and just a couple minutes of my time, but the value created here is immeasurable. So reciprocal altruism is a term that basically means, I'll give something to you in return that you'll give something back. And this isn't what we're going for. However, this type of social manipulation has its place in business. And I'll talk about it later. We're going for gifts from the heart that show our artistic value creation inside the organization that shows we are completely irreplaceable. Giving has also been shown to increase happiness levels through many studies. One of the most underused gifts is simply a kind manner, such as thanking someone. And when you're receiving a gift, try to give a small gift back by saying, thank you and fill in the space with something like, thank you and I really appreciate it, or I showed my friends, or I told my boss what wonderful thing you did, and even, thank you and you changed me forever. Another concept is Dunbar's number. Now Dunbar's number is around 150, and his theory states that a typical person cannot have more than 150 people in their tribe of close-knit friends, which basically means you can't keep up with more than 150 people at a time. You start to lose track. Now I challenge you to give a gift to everyone in your tribe within the next year, and that's around 3 gifts a week. 3 gifts a week times 52 weeks a year is around 150. So start giving and you'll see the return almost immediately, and by the end of the year, your giving skills will have increased greatly, and you'll learn a lot about your friends too. And eventually, adding value will become second nature. I'd also like to explain Krulak's law. Now Krulak's law basically states that the closer you get to the front of an organization, the more power you have and the less replaceable you become. Take that guy who rides a horse in the Old Spice commercials, for example. Isaiah Mustafa is the top-of-the-line branding for Old Spice, and he will always have a spot in their company after being featured on several commercials and often replying to Twitter comments on Old Spice's behalf. On the other hand, a couple of restaurant workers that are flipping burgers have the power to cripple a brand. If a video of someone spitting in food and doing nasty things to it before serving it went viral on the web, the brand would instantly lose value due to many customers being turned off and having a negative connotation towards it. So now we're going to get down to the 5 traits. Psychologists have narrowed down a huge number of personality variables to 5 traits that are essential to how people view us. Openness, which is showing them first that you trust them with your actions and words. We naturally love people who trust us first. Conscientiousness, which is always thinking outside of the box and putting effort into your thoughts to avoid complaining and thinking of ways to help others. Extroversion, which is the ability to have great communication and networking skills. Before we go on, understand that these 5 things can be learned and grown. You can always make them better. So the next is agreeableness, which is basically how much charm you have and your ability to quickly avoid and settle arguments. And lastly is emotional stability, which is basically self-control. When you take all of these traits and combine them, not only do you get a great person from the outside, you also get someone with the heart of a linchpin. I hope you learned something in this video, and if you did, click the like button. If you have any more thoughts, leave a comment. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.